course, this one goes out to my dad. I want you to sit down and close your eyes. And think about all the wonderful times that we used to have. That's right. Now, I know things aren't the way they used to be right now, but they are going to get better someday. Yes, sir. And I know that.
And I remember when we used to play shoot 'em up, bang, 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 bang. Together, baby, together, baby. Wanna live.
My name is Rudy Salas. I'm Rudy's son and Steve's nephew. Growing up, I was pretty close to Stevie and all my uncles because we all lived on the same lot in a couple of small houses in Lincoln Heights, along with my dad, mom, sister, grandma, and grandpa. I remember my dad and uncle working hard on Tierra in the 70s, and I was so proud of them when Tierra finally hit it big in the early 80s. I was only about 10 or 11 years old when that happened, and although some things definitely were different, some things never changed, and that was the best part of my childhood. My dad, Stevie, and my uncles still went out and played basketball with me. We still lived in Lincoln Heights. We still gathered around the TV to watch the big fights, and we still all just hung out. Despite having national fame, Stevie was just Stevie, and my dad was just my dad, and I loved them both. As a kid, I used to fiddle with my dad's guitar and would spend countless hours with him in the studio while Tierra was recreating their iconic albums. I would just listen and study what my dad produced. I ultimately became a producer myself because of my dad. There was no better teacher than my pops. There was also no greater joy for me as a kid than watching my dad from the side of the stage being cheered on by thousands of adoring fans. With my uncle, I knew the fans loved him for the themes he created, and that was beautiful. Even as an adult, it was still the greatest of thrills. I am proud of the legacy he built with my uncle and the many other talented musicians they performed with. As I got older, Stevie and I bonded over music, politics, humor, and just life in general. I used to look forward to my wife and I picking up Stevie because we knew we were in for a day of endless laughs. And you know what it is. Most of my life, I produced or engineered both my uncle and my dad, and I learned a lot from them. As some of you may know, Stevie was sometimes really hard to work with. But I later learned that was part of his genius. He would record a vocal over and over until it was perfect. And the way we knew he had the right take was simple. He would get emotional like me right now and start to cry. And he literally did that. You would hear a take and he'd just like, that's it. Stevie was emotionally connected to not only music, but the world itself. He invested so much of himself into whatever he was doing, and it was sometimes overwhelming for him. He just wanted the world to be exactly like he wanted it to be, a better place. We didn't always agree, but we would have deep conversations about that. And I'm gonna miss that so much. I feel so lucky to have basically two fathers. My dad was the realist, the organizer, and the competitor, and Stevie was the optimist, the free spirit, and the more animated one. But they're both extremely creative. I'm so grateful I grew up with those influences. The last time Stevie ever sang was at the tribute concert on November 6th. Probably 90% of you were there. Let's give it a hand to Stevie on that. If you were there, you know how emotional that day was. Steve's condition wasn't very good, but he wanted to do the show for my dad who passed away about a year earlier. After we got off stage, he asked me, "Can I call you son?" And I told him, "Always." And we had a long embrace. We both knew my dad wouldn't have it any other way. Like most families, despite our battles, we all truly loved each other. My two dads, got to see me record with them, be creative with them, get married and perform at our wedding, and see most of my major milestones. And I'm grateful for that. This is another chapter. There is another chapter to be written and a milestone to reach for the Salas brothers and Tierra. The Tierra legacy lives on with our family. Most of you here and myself, it lives on with most of you here and myself. I know we will make my two dads proud, who are now up there with his band of brothers. Mike Jimenez, Steve Follimer, David Torres, Kenny Roman, Aaron Ballesteros, Isaac Ávila, Bob Espinosa, Jorge Santana, Arcelo Garcia, Johnny Valenzuela,